This is February the 5th, 2022. Welcome to the Preparing for Alien Contact Meetup, a Vancouver UFO Meetup. Our guest is Alfred Lambremont Webre. He's been on the scene for decades. He's right here in Vancouver as well. And about 20 years ago, he published the book Exopolitics, and he coined the phrase Exopolitics. And now he's got a new book out. He's going to tell us about. He's got a slideshow. It's called the CHRONOGARCHY: How Interdimensional Quantum Access Time Travel Manipulates Human Events, Human History, and the Interlife. So welcome, Alfred. Good to see you again.
Brian, thank you so much for inviting me to Preparing for Alien Contact Meetup group, and also Mimi for inviting me in this co-production to the UFO Vancouver Meetup group, and also to all our colleagues who are here. This is a great privilege, and also those who are in Omniversity who are watching this will be now share screening. This presentation is sponsored by Omniversity. One of our campuses is now online. Today is February 25th, 2022. Our online campus at omniversity.us has all of our background literature to date in exopolitics, exosciences, sciences, and spiritual sciences. And Omniversity is a online learning a platform, and Omniversity is a next step evolution from the universities in exopolitics, exosciences, sciences, and spiritual sciences. And that is the logo of Omniversity. It's one of our working logos. We have a number of them that was contributed to Omniversity by a leading graphic artist, and it represents the multidimensionality of the human mind. So why Omniversity? What is Omniversity about? Well, Omniversities are chartered to share the knowledge of our multidimensional reality and sciences. Universities are gatekeeping this new knowledge. Universities are chartered to study the establishment sciences of the universes of time, energy, space, and matter. Universities gatekeep the scientific study of the spiritual dimensions of the omniverse, such as the soul, life after death, the interlife, spirit, reincarnation, spiritual beings, and source, as well as exosciences such as quantum access, teleportation, and time travel, and sciences such as the study of psi, ESP, telekinesis, and telepathy. So the equation describing the omniverse is, that's like the E equals MC squared equation of the omniverse. Omniverse equals multiverse, in other words, all universes, plus the spiritual dimensions. And an Omniversity is chartered to study the reality the universes gatekeep, including the spiritual dimensions, including exopolitics, which is relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse, which is now a classified project. As all of you, I'm just projecting, here today know. Exosciences, which include time travel, teleportation, and scalar energy sciences that only classified projects are allowed access to, even though in order to gain advanced planet status in the organized system of life-bearing planets in our universe, you have to have planetary teleportation. And governments on our planet have had planetary teleportation since at least the late 1960s, which is documented in our new book, The Chronogarchy, and they have suppressed that for military reasons. And so they have denied the Earth advanced planet status by the rules, the laws of universe administration. Sciences, ESP, telepathy, and psi, sciences that are generally classified except for Duke University and several outlier universities. And as all of us know, advanced exophenotypes in the multiverse, our universe and fellow universes, they communicate via ESP, telepathy, and psi sciences, so that we're being held back here from interacting with the rest of organized intelligent society in our own solar system, galaxy, universe, and parallel universes, which operate on the basis of ESP, telepathy, and psi. This is the basic, gatekeeping that is being done. Finally, spiritual sciences, the scientific study of life after death, we can call the interlife, reincarnation, spiritual beings, the soul and God source. Sciences that are gatekept by universities, except at outlier universities, like the University of Virginia Medical School, where there is a whole school of reincarnation because a Canadian physician went down there and, used his moxie to found it. And that's Dr. Ian Stevenson with his various books, cases suggestive of reincarnation. Now, why is that important? That's important because the Earth has been occupied by interdimensional exophenotypes, negative extraterrestrial beings that have occupied the reincarnation cycle, so that unconscious humans are trapped in an incarnation cycle where they set up memes in the incarnation cycle. They think that they're meeting their family and Jesus, and they're just meeting projections where they're kept in this reincarnation cycle and are loosh factories. And we demonstrated that in our third book. We've written a trilogy of books on the Omniverse. Our third book, The Emergence of the Omniverse, we demonstrated that scientifically. So that is the subjects that are taught at omniversity.us. So we're breaking out of Earth prison planet, which is a multidimensional prison planet. And this is the integration of science and spirituality. Now, there will be a question period at the end, and please mark down your questions. This is a highly prophesized time. This is the end of the prison planet, but it's happening through science. And it's a science that is integral with the advanced positive exophenotypes, extraterrestrial and interdimensional spiritual beings. So we're coming into the next level of beinghood, and that's what we can loosely call ascension. Okay. Discovery of the Omniverse. Is the Omniverse real or is it science fiction? In the end, what started out as a book entitled Extraterrestrials and the Law which Oxford University Press approached me. They're a division of Oxford University, and they approached me and asked me if I wouldn't write a book called Extraterrestrials and the Law. And we went back and forth for a while. Emerged as the scientific hypothesis of the dimensional ecology of the omniverse, because I took Oxford University's proposal and I expanded it, because I saw that you couldn't write about extraterrestrials and the law without making various hypotheses as to what extraterrestrials were. And it was published in 2014 as the book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse. The History of Science Overview of the Omniverse, the Universe, the Multiverse, and the Omniverse. In founding the Science of Exopolitics, my 2000 book, Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe, established the principle that our universe is highly populated and organized by intelligent civilizations. Universe. If we go back in ordinary conventional history, that is 3500 to 3200 BC, it was the Sumerian astronomers and cosmologists that codified our concept of our, quote, universe in science as a discrete, organic, holographic creation of time, energy, space, and matter that including multiple timelines and an ecology of dimensions. Multiverse. The next conceptual advance was that of the multiverse, end of quote, a term coined in 1895 by American psychologist and philosopher William James, and historically coming to mean the totality of all universes encompassing all time, energy, space, and matter. As I reported in my two prior books on the Omniverse, two Stanford scientists developed an estimate of the actual number of physical universes of time, space, energy, and matter there are in the multiverse. We don't have a name for that. That number is so large that if one wrote it out in 12-point type, that number is 10 to the 7th to the 7th. And if you write that number out in 12-point type, that number, 10 to the 7th to the 7th, would be more than 260 million miles long. That's how many universes there are in the multiverse, i.e., it's not an infinite number, but it's a very large number. The Omniverse. The Omniverse is the integrated whole of, number one, the multiverse, plus the spiritual dimensions. Now, what are included in the spiritual dimensions? A, the intelligent civilization of souls. 2, spiritual entities. And 3, source or God. This was first formally proven in 2014 in 2 independent science-based books, respectively by author David Bertolacci and by myself, Alfred Lambremont Webre, your humble servant. Scientific discoveries are often scientifically made in different parts of the world by different people, and the discovery of the Omniverse is such an example. David Bertolacci and I did not know each other. We did not know that we were both independently working on documenting the Omniverse as such, and we independently published books on the Omniverse, showing the Omniverse as the multiverse plus the spiritual dimensions, which was the intelligent civilization of souls, spiritual entities, and source God. A key discovery of my 2014 book, The Omniverse, is that the Omniverse itself can be proved as a hypothesis by replicable science and the law of evidence. And that is the scientific method. In other words, the scientific method by the canon of science is replicable protocols and evidence. And the omniverse can be proved by replicable science and the law of evidence to exist as the sum of the multiverse plus the spiritual dimensions, consisting of an interlife, intelligent civilization of souls, spiritual beings, and source, or God. And all of that is set out in my 2014 book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse, which is available at omniversity.us, both in ebook and in softcover, and elsewhere, wherever good books are sold, Barnes and Noble, etc. Okay, so the science of the omniverse. That's the omniverse equation again. Omniverse equals multiverse, all universes plus spiritual dimensions, souls plus spiritual beings plus source or God. As a result of our conceptual breakthrough, a new science-based term now exists, the omniverse, defined as, number one, the totality of all universes in the multiverse, encompassing all time, energy, space, and matter, plus two, the spiritual dimensions, including the intelligent civilization of souls, spiritual beings, and source, or God. We can map the omniverse and prove its existence using the law of evidence, because we now have replicable scientific empirical evidence for the spiritual dimensions that is gathered by the same rules of the scientific method as the empirical evidence for time, space, energy, and matter. In other words, we have used the same rules and laws of evidence as the canon of science has used to prove that our universe exists. We have used it to prove that our omniverse exists. And you can find that all in the 3 omniverse books. Source in the God in the omniverse. And this is the science of God, the proof of God, not belief in God as a matter of personal opinion or belief. There now exists replicable empirical prima facie evidence that confirms some essential aspects of what major historical, social, spiritual, and religious traditions have taught about the nature of source or God. The evidence informs us that source or God of the omniverse consists of the totality of the spiritual dimensions. God has empirically been found to comprise the totality of the intelligent civilization of souls, plus the intelligent civilization of spiritual beings, plus source God itself. So that each of us has a holographic fragment of source, our soul, which is our soul, because those of us that have divine souls, as do the spiritual beings, and then we have source itself. And it's those 3 components, that's God. So we are scientifically part of God. So that's why they say, namaste, I salute the God within you. That's a scientific statement. It's not only like a well-wisher. The collective entity of the spiritual dimensions has empirically been found to be responsible for the ongoing creation of the physical sign of the omniverse known as the exopolitical dimensions. So you've got the spiritual dimensions, which is where the souls are based, the spiritual beings are based, the angels, and source is based. Like our souls, right? Each of us here has a soul, but our soul is incarnating inside of these avatars that we call Alfred and Brian and Shecky and Terry and Josie and Mimi. But our soul is right now based in the spiritual dimension, and we're projecting into our avatar, which is in the exopolitical dimensions. It's not in the spiritual dimensions. And the exopolitical dimensions are inside the system of universes of time, energy, space, and matter, which is a creation that the spiritual dimensions create and maintain external to the spiritual dimension. The universes of time, space, energy, and matter are machines for soul development through incarnation and through the process of just creation and maintaining of the universes of time, energy, space, and matter. A core mission of the dimensional ecology of the omniverse appears to be the creation and development of souls and spiritual beings in the spiritual dimensions. The intelligent civilizations of souls and spiritual beings, along with Source God, collectively create and maintain the totality of universes of time, space, matter, and energy in the exopolitical dimensions, the multiverse. Now, these are hypotheses, but they have been demonstrated using the law of evidence in the Omniverse books. I'm just summarizing the hypotheses now here. This is the dimensional ecology of the Omniverse hypothesis. The hypothesis holds that we Earthlings live in a dimensional ecology of intelligent life that encompasses intelligent civilizations based in parallel dimensions and universes in the multiverse. That is the collection of all universes of time, energy, space, and matter, as well as souls, spiritual beings, and Source or God in the spiritual dimensions. Together, the exopolitical dimensions and the spiritual dimensions form the Omniverse. The totality of the spiritual dimensions, souls, spiritual beings, and God, function as the source of the universes of the multiverse. And that was developed in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So cosmology is one of the export products of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Okay, omniversity.us. This is, if you go to omniversity.us, you will find that our departments are there. Our Exopolitics department, the study of intelligent live civilizations in the multiverse, our Exosciences department, the study of the scalar and multidimensional new sciences of time, space, energy, and matter. Psi sciences, the study of psi consciousness. Spiritual sciences, the study of the afterlife, soul, spiritual beings, and Source God. Now, we are in a time of exceptional growth. This is background of Omniversity. We had our first incarnation in 2011 and 2012 as Exo University. Some of you may recall that. And we had online classes and faculty. Laura Eisenhower was one of our faculty, US chrononaut and Mars explorer. Andrew D. Bashago was another faculty. There were other faculties. And now Dr. Raymond Keller, who is a Venus visitor. and has written a whole number of books. A Venus contactee has written a whole number of books on Venus. Is talking about being a faculty member, as well as Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who's written a book on time travel, and others. Laura Eisenhower is the class, so that and faculty members can have their books. This omniversity.us is where we have the book depository and library of the faculty members, and we're just getting this off the ground. Omniversity.info is in development now, and in a couple of months will be up and running as the video platform, which will have the video classes and courses, video conferences, live video lectures and events and concerts. We'll even have concerts there. So this is, so if any of you would like to explore, we certainly welcome you all to Omniversity. You can come there, sign up for come to omniversity.us and sign up for our free newsletter, explore all of the departments. You can access all of the existing literature there. There'll be more as faculty members come on in these months. We're just in launch mode now. And once omniversity.info comes online, then we'll be in a full blown. And those of you who are present today and who are listening to this, who would like to explore a position as faculty, because you have books and you have other issues that you'd like to teach or have your books developed, please contact us at Exopolitics at exopolitics.com, because we'd like to explore your possible participation. So this is the current offerings in the Exopolitics department. I'm just saying this is just the initial seedlings. Of course, that's the Exopolitics book that was mentioned earlier. That book, Exopolitics, the Chronogarchy, DARPA, CIA, secret time travel, this book, Exopolitics, from 2005 back to 1971, where it was viewed by one of the chrononauts back in 1971, Andrew D. Bashago. And Andrew D. Bashago became a whistleblower and came to see me in the year 2000 and told me all about it. And in 1971, I was general counsel of the Environmental Protection Administration, and I was one of my duties was to give talks on the environment in the city of New York. Well, I was approached, most of them were students and housewives and environmentalist groups. And one day I said, sure, I'll give you a talk. And this man came to pick me up in a suit and a tie, very much different from the environmentalists. We traveled for 2 hours, came to a nondescript building, and I walked up and there were 50 men in suits and ties and shirts and ties like NASA. And I said, these are government agents. It turns out that they were the chronogarchy, they were the chronogarchy's agents inside the secret DARPA CIA time travel that had time traveled my book Exopolitics back from 2005 back to 1971, and they wanted to see what I looked like and how I behaved in 1971, because they knew that I would write this book in 1999, Exopolitics, in Vancouver, BC, publish it online as a free ebook in the year 2000 to change the dialogue, and then it would become a softcover in 2005. So there was a whole episode where I was time travel surveyed, and And that's the Spanish translation, Exopolitica, the Portuguese for Brazil, and that's the chronogarchy, which has a whole exopolitical dimension to it. We'll talk about it later. And these are the books in the sciences, the exosciences, and the spiritual sciences. There's the Omniverse Trilogy, the Omniverse, the Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse. There's the German edition of the Omniverse, the Hungarian edition of the Omniverse, the Chinese edition of the Omniverse. We're hoping to outreach to China, which are, what is it, 2 billion people, to begin to bring on board those 2 billion souls, or how many of them can be brought out of communist conditioning. I mean, the Illuminati have been after this. See, Mao Zedong was an operative of Skull and Bones. Mao Zedong was an intern of Yale in China at the Yale in China Hospital, which was run by Skull and Bones. And so that's how they set up Chinese communism, through Skull and Bones. That was my alma mater. I wasn't in Skull and Bones, by the way. They are draconian. My family is of the white light. My family members helped set up the Yale Divinity School. So there's always been a tug and war. I call it chiaroscuro, light amidst the darkness. And that's the incarnation pattern that I chose. But I think it's now the time that we go out and we reach out to these different cultures. The emergence of the Omniverse, that's the Omniverse Trilogy. That's what we talk about, that the entire reincarnation cycle has been infiltrated and occupied by negative extraterrestrial phenotypes like the Draco reptilians, who have occupied the reincarnation cycle for the unwary, who get up there, they say, oh, go toward the light. And then they go toward the light and says, oh, I saw Jesus. And it's just holograms that they're showing at them. They throw them back into a reincarnation tunnel and they immediately come back and they're loose slaves. Okay, so, and this is the Omniverse Arts, and that's a timelines of the Omniverse, a novel, multidimensional novel that was published together with the chronogarchy book, which we'll talk about in a moment, because there's some huge synchronicities that are happening around the publication of the chronogarchy book and the timelines of the chronogarchy in 2022. This is a very significant year in which the timelines of the earth, the organic, natural earth, divine timeline of earth as a reincarnation venue for divine souls, that timeline, and the AI, artificial timeline of those beings that identify with the AI, the invading inorganic artificial intelligence, as God, and lose their souls to the AI. Those two timelines are now manifesting, and it's a splitting. And that's what happens when 3 billion souls, as was prophesized, are lost. What it is that they go off on the AI timeline and become subhuman. So that's what we're talking about. So Mimi caught on because we just published that News Inside Out. Chandler Saratoga Ocean, who has hundreds of thousands of followers, just this past week And our NaNoWriMo award-winning novel, Timelines of the Chronogarchy, converge on the same message. Warning, the timeline split is visible now. Prepare yourself. The split between the organic timeline of divine earth and the AI artificial timeline has reached critical mass in 2022, the year of publication of the Chronogarchy book. And Chandler Saratoga Ocean just came out with a video last week saying, warning, the timeline split is visible now. She hasn't read or she may know about it today, but at that time had never heard of the Chronogarchy. And the plot of the timelines of one of the subplots of the Chronogarchy of Timelines of the Chronicle novel is that the organic timeline of divine earth and the artificial timeline reaches critical mass in 2022, the year of publication of the Chronogarchy book. So you can imagine how my mind was like in shock and awe when I came across Chandler Saratoga Ocean's video in which she was saying the exact same thing, that my novel, which is now available on Amazon on pre-order until March 3rd, and then you can buy it both in softcover and ebook, saying the exact same thing. So on Groundhog Day, 2222022, that was the day that Dr. Raymond Keller, who's written a review of the Chronogarchy book, he said, Alfred, let's do our book interview on Groundhog Day. And I thought that was a great suggestion for a time travel, thing. An early chapter of the novel Timelines of the Chronogarchy starts off this way, quote, let's start with the year 2022, the year of the publication of the Chronogarchy book. Fundamentally, that was the year when the two timelines started visibly separating on the time-space hologram that we know on Earth. The two timelines reached critical mass and separated on Earth timeline 0. The base timeline we would know as Earth time and Earth timeline 1, the AI artificial intelligence timeline. Organic Earth timeline 0 is the timeline that existed in this period of history, starting with the discovery of the universes by Sumerian astronomers in 3500 BC, the discovery of the multiverse about 1895 by William James, and following through to the publication of the book Exopolitics by Sophia Arni, it's a novel. Exopolitics articulated on Earth once again that the Earth exists in a highly populated and organized universe. That's an excerpt from Timelines of the Chronogarchy, which you can get there. And so, but sit back and think about it. Just look at the world. The unvaccinated versus vaccinated. The people who are totally entrained to the invading artificial intelligence and the transhumanist agenda. That's what we've been talking about forever. And that has been accelerated with the beginning of the AI false flag known as the genocidal technologies pandemic. So, synchronistically, Chandler Saratoga Ocean in her January 11, 2022 video is basically delivering a similar message that, quote, timeline split between the organic timeline of Earth and the AI timeline is visible now in 2022. As human souls, we have to prepare ourselves. You can watch Saratoga Ocean's video and compare to timelines of the chronogarchy. And that's the thing. If you go to newsinsideout.com, we have a whole article on it. You can get more deeply into it. Saratoga Ocean says, we human souls must now focus, excuse me, I'm just gonna a little tea here, on 4 areas to safeguard our souls. Starting at 18 minutes and 22 seconds of her video, Saratoga Ocean suggests that we all, number 1, stay anchored on natural Earth and its higher timeline. Number 2, be clear about values and their relation to natural Earth. Number 3, stay in a state of gratitude and enjoy physical environment. Number 4, stay clear of, quote, what she calls the metaverse, a virtual second Earth created by AI. And part of the metaverse is like, apparently she says that there are these plans by big tech like Facebook and others to create this artificial Earth. In other words, that right now, Facebook and all, Google and all these things are just websites, but they're going to create it as this metaverse, as this AI reality. And that AI has no heart, no love, it's only AI. We have to maintain perspective and to see for ourselves. Okay. And the chronogarchy. So here's a book review by Dr. Raymond Keller, PhD, of the chronogarchy, a nonfiction treatise that forms the scientific basis behind the novel Timelines of the Chronogarchy, whose plot line is the splitting of the organic natural timeline of divine Earth and the AI transhumanist Earth in, excuse me, I'm just going to take a little. This is slippery elm. It'll stop me from coughing because using my vocal cords. AI transhumanist agenda, transhumanist Earth in 2022, the year of the publication of the chronogarchy book. And I should say that in the year 1981, which was the year of the second special session on disarmament in New York, I was with a group that helped sponsor Peacequake in San Francisco Civic Center Plaza. And that was in support of the second special session in disarmament at the UN. And, you know, it was, we had bands and speakers and stuff. But after that, we went up into Mount Tam across the Golden Gate Bridge. And this lady, venerable lady psychic, said, there's going to be a split in the planet. And at one planet, it's going to be the Earth, and the other planet, all the military and the generals will go off. So I've been hearing this for a number of decades. So here's a book review by Dr. Raymond A. Keller of Alfred Lambremont Webber's Chronogarchy. Quote, Alfred Lambremont Webre is a graduate of Yale University and Yale Law School and a former Fulbright scholar. He taught economics at Yale University and constitutional law at the University of Texas. In addition, he served as the former general counsel to the New York City Environmental Protection Administration and former director of the 1977 Jimmy Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Study and former non-governmental delegate to the United Nations. The author of Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe, he is the recognized father of exopolitics, the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. Now, Alfred Lambremont Webre has come out with a new book, The CHRONOGARCHY, Universe Books ebook, available on Amazon.com. The word chronogachy is a neologism that signifies, quote, those who rule through time or the manipulation of it. These are wizards standing behind curtains and directing the matrix system to which we all find ourselves subjected. The exopolitical expert describes the chronogachy as, quote, an interdimensional alliance dedicated to the oppression of the community of human souls and includes factions in human institutions such as religions, governments, military intelligence agencies, bloodline families, monarchies, media, medical pharma, as well as archonic spiritual entities, including fallen angels, demonic entities, and exophenotypes hostile to the community of human souls, such as Draco reptilians, Orion Greys, and sentient artificial intelligence, AI. In the chronogachy, Alfred Lambremont Webre delves into the real nature of space, time, and interdimensionality. He interviews many of the leading authorities and experiencers in this field, thereby facilitating an awareness of the people, powers, and organizations constituting the network of the chronogachy's existence and helping us to formulate viable defense strategies in the coming years of increasing tribulations. We also learn of, quote, the good guys helping us from behind the scenes, so to speak, thereby pointing to a light of hope at the end of a long dark tunnel. For some pertinent video interviews conducted by Alfred Lambremont Webre, many of those in the know about the chronogachy, please check out Exopolitics TV at YouTube. Dr. Raymond Keller, 31 January 2022, Morgantown, West Virginia. Now, and this is a description of the chronogachy book, which is available at omniversity.us. The chronogachy is an interdimensional hidden power structure monitoring the time space of Earth as its domain of influence, operating as a secret government using quantum access time travel technologies to operate its operations and mandates. See, what's really interesting is that those of us in this field and in the popular imagination, those of us who go to Star Wars and all these movies out there, the threat is from space, right? We're in a time-space dimension, and the threat is from space. Oh, the conquerors are coming from space. No, they're not coming from space. They're coming from time. That's the hidden dimension. In the third density of Earth's time-space dimensional hologram, the chronogachy develops and deploys a variety of quantum access time travel technologies to carry out its elaborate long-range past, present, and future-based construction and manipulation of an artificial time-based meme legend within which to entrap and enslave humanity and human souls. The chronogachy is an interdimensional alliance dedicated to the oppression of the community of human souls and includes A, factions in human institutions such as religion, governments, military intelligence agencies, bloodline families, monarchies, media, medical pharma, as well as B, archonic spiritual entities, including fallen angels, demonic entities, and exophenotypes to the community of human souls, such as Draco reptilian, Orion Greys, and C, sentient artificial intelligence. US presidents, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald J. Trump, boom, and Joseph Robinette Biden were pre-identified by the chronogachy secret presidential time travel pre-identification program. Not only were they identified, but they were briefed and they were groomed. And that's the chronogachy. Okay. Multiverse, universe, multiverse, omniverse. Author Alfred Lambremont is credited as co-discoverer in 2014 of the Omniverse, the third great cosmological body after the universe, discovered in 3500 BC by Sumerian astronomers, and the multiverse coined in 1895 by the American scientist William James. Scientifically, the Omniverse is the totality of all universes in the multiverse, plus the spiritual dimensions that include the scientific, the intelligent civilizations, spiritual beings, and source or God. Alfred Lambremont 3 science-based books on the Omniverse can be found on the online learning platform omniversity.us in the Department of Spiritual Sciences. In a strange throwaway line, Saratoga Ocean inexplicably seems to lump in the scientific study of divinity in the Omniverse with the, quote, metaverse, an AI-driven holographic Earth that manifests along the AI timeline. With the exception of this one hiccup, Saratoga Ocean's channel vision of the splitting of the timelines in 2022 converged with the vision of the splitting organic Earth timeline and the AI timeline in 2022 in Alfred Lambremont Weber's timeline of the Omniverse. Join with Saratoga Ocean and Alfred Lambremont Weber on Earth's organic divine soul timeline. Bye-bye. Okay, so welcome everyone. It's a great privilege for, okay, can you all hear that? I just want to make sure.
I'm listening.
Okay.
So
Okay.
ever wonder who robbed you of your?
Yep.
Welcome everyone. It's a great privilege for us to be today with Welcome everyone. It's a great privilege for us to be today with Dr. Raymond Keller, Solar System Explorer, author, scholar, Venus visitor. And welcome everyone. It's a great privilege for us to be today with Dr. Raymond Keller, Solar System Explorer, author, scholar, Venus visitor, and contactee. Welcome, Raymond.
Thank you. Thank you, Alfred. It's a great pleasure to be here again and to speak with you and to share very important information apparently lost on this timeline that I will be imparting today.
Excellent. And we have a multi-level program for you. Raymond, Dr. Keller, has written a book review of our new book that is now out on Amazon. It's in pre-order now. It'll be available as of March 1st, but you can go onto Amazon, just search for our name, Alfred Lambremont Weber, The CHRONOGARCHY, and he's written an excellent scholarly authoritative book review. Do you want to show that book review?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll
go
be
ahead.
happy to do that. And I'm going to put that up. And I'll go ahead and read it as well as they can follow along with me.
Sure.
This is a book review of the CHRONOGARCHY for Universe Books, available on Amazon.com and also from Universe Books. Alfred Lambremont Weber, JD, Master of Education, is a graduate of Yale University and Yale Law School and a former Fulbright Scholar. He has taught economics at Yale University and constitutional law at the University of Texas. In addition, he served as the former general counsel to the New York City Environmental Protection Administration and former director of the 1977 President Jimmy Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Study and former NGO, non-governmental organization delegate to the United Nations. The author of Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe, is a recognized father of exopolitics, the science of relations among intelligent civilizations throughout the multiverse. Now, Alfred Lambremont Webre has come out with a new book, the CHRONOGARCHY Universe Books ebook, available on Amazon.com. So those of you who order the books on Amazon, I checked it out. I wanted to order one, but they said it's being released on the 1st of March. The word chronography is a neologism that signifies those who rule through time, or in other words, through the manipulation of time. These are wizards standing behind curtains and directing the matrix system to which we find ourselves subjected. The exopolitical expert describes the chronogarchy as an interdimensional alliance dedicated to the oppression of the community of human souls, and includes factions in human institutions such as religions, governments, military, intelligence agencies, bloodline families, monarchies, media, medical, pharma, as well as archonic spiritual entities, including fallen angels, demonic entities, and exophenotypes hostile to the community of human souls, such as the Draco reptilians, Orion Greys, and sentient artificial intelligence. So if you want to liberate yourselves of these evil influences, this is a great start by informing yourself of just who these entities and who these personages are that we're dealing with here, at even at supernatural levels. So in the chronography, Alfred Lambremont Webre delves into the real nature of space, time, and interdimensionality. He interviews many of the leading authorities and experiencers in these fields, thereby facilitating an awareness of the people, powers, and organizations constituting the network of the chronography's existence, helping us to formulate viable defense strategies in the coming years of increasing tribulations. And isn't it interesting that this book comes out now on, and we're talking about it on Groundhog Day, because every time that we've woken up in the past 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days,
So plumbing
it's
is
the
done.
same old thing, isn't it? I mean, we have this unending virus, all these
Wrong with the lever.
Oh, good,
variants,
babe.
lockdowns, and the whole society is just being dragged through the mud, so to speak. So for some pertinent video interviews conducted by Alfred Lambremont Webre with many of those in the know about the chronography, you can check out Exopolitics TV at the website indicated in the review, of which I imagine that this interview will become an integral part of.
Oh yes. Well, thank you so much, Raymond, for that very generous and authoritative book review. Incidentally, you see, and this is for pre-orders. People can go on Amazon and pre-order the ebook. Amazon only allows pre-orders on ebooks, that is their Kindle. But as of March 1st, readers, and I've had a number of readers contact me and say, hey, I love soft covers. As of March 1st, you'll be able to order it both in a Kindle ebook form and in soft cover, and it will be available at all of the other places that good bookstores, Barnes and Nobles, and all of those places everywhere. And we have a new learning platform called Omniversity. So you'll be able to go to omniversity.us, which is our bookstore, and we hope that you'll be joining us there as a faculty member, because you've got a wealth of knowledge at omniversity.us. But you can always go to Omniversity and you'll find the Chronogarchy book. There is both it's both a nonfiction treatise. This is the nonfiction. We also wrote a novel, which got a NaNoWriMo award. Of course, everybody who finishes NaNoWriMo gets an award. What's very interesting there, the plot of the one of the subplots of the novel is that the timelines, the natural Earth timeline and the artificial intelligence timelines split in 2022, the year of the publication of the Chronogarchy book. And we located last night and published an article because Chandler Saratoga Ocean just channeled a major video saying that the splitting of the timelines is becoming visible. And it's a 2022 video that was published on January 11, 2022. And that's the prediction in the novel. Isn't that an amazing synchronicity?
Oh, yes. Alfred, I don't believe there's any such thing as coincidences anymore. That's a pure synchronicity. It's just fated to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for really taking time to delve into the Chronogarchy book and providing readers with that authoritative review, because many people look to you as an authoritative source and guide, and we're very privileged and honored that you did so. Now, I know that you have a very exciting slideshow, so we're going to sit back and really enjoy it. So please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This is my new book. In fact, they just delivered like 8 boxes of them here at my door, and the rest of them are going to fill some pre-orders out at Amazon. So ever wonder who robbed you of your Jetson-like utopian future? Well, just remember that an informed citizenry is our best defense in preserving liberty. So we had a timeline. We were on a positive timeline for a future in a paradisical world, on the way to one that would parallel conditions on Venus. So what happened? What happened to it, and where did things start to go wrong? That's why it's important not only to read my books, but also Alfred's books too, as well, on the chronography, because that is for sure one of the answers to this whole enigma. And thank you very much. That's just one chapter in the book.
Oh, yeah. Stay with this slide. Could you please?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Is this does this conclude the PowerPoint?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But please stay with the slide. There are 2 points that I'd like to ask you about. Okay, number one, and by the way, congratulations. This is really a breakthrough slide presentation, I do believe. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I don't know how much time I have left in this material world, and I want to.
Oh boy!
In the hurry to write all these all these Venus books. Of course, this is already book number 7.
Oh, wow, wow. Well, and we'll ask you in just a moment where to get your books. But first, I want to bring up 2 issues. Number one, all of these dates, I mean, the date that most came out was 1955. 1955 to 1957, those were the Eisenhower years. And as we know, Valiant Thor was the Venusian ambassador that lived in the Pentagon, the Eisenhower Pentagon during the Eisenhower years. So do you think the fact that Valiant Thor was in the Eisenhower Pentagon in the 1955 to 57 timeframe, I wonder if you could confirm that, was a factor behind this utopian future? Question mark, over to you.
Oh yes, it most certainly was, and all the machinations that were taking place in the Pentagon and so forth, I examined in great detail. The appearance in that same period in a polar orbit, when we didn't have any satellites capable of polar orbits, yet there were 4 unknown satellites that Donald E. Kehoe wrote about that were orbiting the Earth, and then one huge mothership appeared that they called the Black Knight, and it was in that. So I have a chapter in tracing the Black Knight, and tying him in with Valiant Thor, and of course I'm currently writing a series that people can read for free. I'm already up to part 24 on the God's Celestial Ambassador, the life and times of Dr. Frankie Stranges, who revealed all this material. And of course, here's I don't know if you can see that in the little box, but
Yes, so the button of some sort.
oh yes, that's the order of Melchizedek, Dr. Frank.
Oh.
Dr. Frank Strange's for members of the inner circle to get these to get these medallions. So a lot of information never.
Oh, so is that yours, or?
Yes, that's mine.
Oh, well, congratulations. I mean, Melchizedek is very honored, and if you go to sources, interdimensional sources like the Urantia book, the Melchizedeks are an order of interdimensional spiritual beings that do very, very high service for light-bearing planets. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Dr. Frank believed, as Billy Graham did as well, that angels and aliens were synonymous, and he had 4 classifications of angels, and of course the ones that we need to be worried about are the more manipulative archonic type fallen angels,
Right.
which is very good, because you also discuss those in the chronography.
Yeah, yeah. Now, this brings me to my second question, okay? And part of my background, you may know, was that Representative Henry B. Gonzalez of Texas, when he was chairman of the House Banking Committee, invited me down to Washington when he was trying to get the House Select Committee on Assassination started to investigate the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X, as you know, real game changers. And I went down there and had lunch with the Congressman Gonzalez, and the result after that was that we got that committee started, okay? And this brings me to the fact that what was the big event that happened right after this period of 1955-57, the utopian future, we had the coming of the White Knight, President John F. Kennedy, which he was a deep space soul. He was a very remarkable soul that came here, and he was assassinated. And it was immediately after that the deep state and the Matrix turned us around, got us involved in Vietnam and the endless wars, and took the utopian future and flushed it down the toilet. So you're asking, who robbed you of your jet-like future? And that was the parties behind the assassination of John F. Kennedy, who were the reptilians and their agents in the Pentagon, the CIA, the monarchies, all of that. And that the war party, it was that. That's my hypothesis. That's a question mark. Over to you.
Oh yes. Well, it's like that song. That's the day the music died. I think everybody's heart sank that day, November 22nd, 1963. It was, like the party's over. Everybody just kind of knew that was the end of the road. And I kind of see right now we're going through this we're going through this hard times, but these lockdowns and everything, what they've done is so dishearten us, and to it's like every day is going through the same Groundhog Day scenario, more lockdowns, more variants, but it's they're consolidating control over this whole thing. It's very disturbing, and as the little businesses go out, then all these big corporations are sucking up all the money and the capital, the energy, and everything, and they're becoming more powerful. The state is becoming more powerful. So this is a dire trend, and it just seems to be accelerating. Now the Bible does say, as long as we're on Groundhog Day, I'll make a prognostication. The Bible does say that that in the times of the end, during the riding of the horsemen of the apocalypse, the four horsemen, it's the pale horse. The pale horse is the one that brings plagues and pestilence. But we know that when that comes in the final days of tribulation, in the last 3.5 years of the tribulation, when it gets real intense, that one is the one that's going to wipe out 1/3 of the world's remaining population. So the one that we've been through, although it's a harsh one, it's not the devastating one. This is kind of a test run. They just want to see how much they can get away with, and that's what it looks like to me. I might be wrong about that, but Dr. Frank predicted that this kind of thing would happen.
Yeah. Now let me put a spin on it. Let me put a divine spin on it. Okay. And this gets back to the Chronogarchy, the book that you reviewed. And as you know, the Chronogarchy came out, it's really 2 books. It's the Chronogarchy, a non-fiction treatise, and it's timelines of the Chronogarchy, a multi-dimensional novel, multi-dimensional novel. And what it says in the novel is that 2022 is the year in which the timeline split into the natural, organic, earth, divine timeline and the AI, archonic, transhumanist timeline. And each one acquires a critical mass. And those entities, those 7 billion human beings, bodies, those with divine souls keep their, are tuned into source, and they stay on the divine timeline. And those that are tuned into the AI, to the archons, to the diabolical, follow the timeline split into the AI timeline. And so if there's going to be a 1/3, maybe it's the 1/3 of those that really don't have divine souls. They've given over their souls to the invading sentient artificial intelligence, and they go off to the AI planet. And that's what Psychic and Chandler, Saratoga Ocean was saying too. And there was a convergence between the Chronogarchy novel, Timelines of the Chronogarchy, which is also available on Amazon, and you can pre-order it, incidentally, and it'll be available both in electronic and in soft cover as of March 1st. And so this is the prophesized time of the splitting of two worlds.
Oh, yes.
And it's really two timelines. So we still have the utopian future. It's those who have forsaken the divine timeline. It's their free will choice and gone into the AI, that they go off into some AI timeline. And that's what the novel is really about. It's called Timelines of the Chronogarchy.
Well, I could see such a bifurcation happening, because in order to, but in order to get to that high number of casualties with 1/3, that would also have to include all the fence sitters as well, because Jesus said in the Bible that he wouldn't accept people being lukewarm about these things, that you're either with the plan or you're not. So he said it be like spewed out of his mouth.
This is the time of the separation of the wheat from the chaff.
Oh yeah. This is it. I mean, this is we're if we're not there already, we're pretty darn close to it.
Yeah. So this is where your I believe breakthrough slideshow really integrated itself with the basic message of the two Chronogarchy books, the nonfiction treatise and the novel, multidimensional novel, Timelines of the Chronogarchy. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you for the opportunity of being here, and I hope we can do many more.
Oh, sure. Now, where can people get your books?
They can go to either get them from headlinebooks.com, or they can just type in Keller Venus in Amazon, and all of them will pop up. But this is the one that they should look for, with all this information and more.
Let me bring you. Maybe you want to come out of screen sharing so people can really see it.
Flying saucers from Venus, they come. The beautiful, beautiful lady with the red beret standing on the beach.
Oh, good. And let me do my own screen sharing just a moment, so that people can take a look at this is the Chronogarchy book, which you can go, let me just bring that one up. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the Chronogarchy, how interdimensional quantum access time travel manipulates human events, human history, and the interlife. And then there's the companion novel, multidimensional novel, Timelines of the Chronogarchy. And that's the one where the timelines are in 2022, the timelines start flitting. And that's what Chandler Chandler Saratoga Ocean just came out with his video saying that. I was amazed. I stumbled on it, and here we have a convergence of the plot line of this novel and what a Chandler is just saying.
Well, here's something else in convergence with the chronogarchy and Miss Ocean's statements. And it was just today. I opened my email once a day and check everything, and I get the bulletins from science magazines and journals, and there was an article in there about there are two black holes that are coming together in a nearby galaxy to our own galaxy, and scientists around the world now are getting ready to monitor this, because they're going to two black holes are going to collide with one another, and it said they're expecting it within 30 years, and it's going to create a flash that will be seen all around our known universe, and it's going to create some weird kind of electromagnetic effects, possibly time distortions and everything, and it may even be creating them right now. Plus, as we're messing around with CERN and all this stuff, who knows what the heck we're opening up over there.
Oh.
I mean, this is very, very real, and it's very, very timely. And also,
No pun intended.
yeah, yes, and the cover of your book with the galaxies coming close, they're
Right.
close and they're swirling around together. It's just like the picture in that science article today of the two black holes at the center.
Amazing.
It's got the same design with the hole in the middle and the swirls and everything.
Timelines. Maybe that's what ascension is all about.
Yes, it could. It could be, because we've got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully to Venus.
Yeah, things are. Well, look, this is really exciting, and I think that this is just a start. And so I really want to thank you, Ray, Dr. Raymond Keller, for all of the effort that you put in today and in your entire career. And I look forward to working together with you on all of these issues as the Chronogarchy books come out, as your books on Venus develop more. I hope to have a longer conversation with you about Omniversity. People can go to omniversity.us and take a look at all of the resources there. We'll have another campus opening up there soon. So thank you so much. So tell us again where people can get in touch with all of your resources.
Okay. The best thing to reach me, you could reach me by email. Is probably the best thing. You could go to the thepromiserevealed.net. All one word, the promise revealed, and then .net. And several of my articles are posted on there. It's Rob Potter's site out in Mount Shasta. And you could also order books from there too, if you'd like, or just go to Amazon and just type in Keller Venus, and it should take you to a listing of all my books, and they're all rated very highly for the most part.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.
All righty, my friend. Thank you very much, and God bless you all mightily till we meet again.
Excellent. Thank you.
I know.
Okay, I hope that people can hear me. Again, the
Yeah.
chronogarchy is a neologism, meaning those who rule through time. And you can see, actually, if you go into the initial passage of timelines through the chronogarchy, one of the characters there, if you Google chronogarchy, just about the only references that you'll see is in the chronogarchy book. We're the only people writing about it and coming up with it because it's so hidden. That's how hidden it is. The controllers have us all thinking about, oh, the control is coming through space and they're going to invade you through space, etc. And it's through time that we're being controlled. And again, this is just the timelines of the chronogarchy novel and the treatise, which we'll get through. Okay, let me settle into more in depth on the Omniverse. Again, the Omniverse, the universe, the multiverse, the Omniverse. These are the three principal cosmological bodies through which humanity comprehends the cosmos. Again, the equation expressing the Omniverse is Omniverse equals multiverse plus spiritual dimensions, and Omniverse equals the totality of universes in the multiverse plus the spiritual dimensions. And the spiritual dimensions is the souls plus spiritual dimensions plus source or God. The universe, and that's a sort of a depiction of what our universe is. In ordinary conventional history, it was the Sumerian astronomers and cosmologists that codified the concept of our universe in science as a discrete, organic, holographic creation of time, energy, space, and matter, including multiple timelines and an ecology of dimensions. One interdimensional source says that the name of our universe is Uversa. You know, we live in the Milky Way galaxy. Well, they don't teach you in school that we live in the Uversa universe. I mean, the amount of cover up in our education is huge. If that is, it's, you know, a hypothetical, a hypothesis. The multiverse, the next conceptual advance was that of the multiverse, a term coined in 1895 by the American psychologist and philosopher William James to mean the totality of all universes encompassing all time, energy, space, and matter. And again, recently, two Stanford scientists developed an estimate of the actual number of physical universes of time, space, energy, and matter that are in the multiverse. That number was estimated at 10 to the 7th, which if one writes it out in 12-point type, there's no name for that number, but it would be more than 260 million miles long. That's the number of universes in our multiverse. When was the Omniverse discovered? Well, there were many researchers who work on uncovering the Omniverse, sometimes using other terminologies. Early Omniverse researchers include Omnisense, whose real name is Philip Walker, Ethan Zagmut Wise, around 2011. The year 2014 saw an explosion of formal research on the Omniverse, with scientist David Bertolacci's theory of the Omniverse, author Wes Penray's research on the Ka, a functional equivalent term for the omniverse, and my own book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse. Different people often simultaneously make related scientific discoveries in different parts of the earth. And the discovery of the omniverse is such an example. It's like, you know, people download these things, and the omniverse likes to like download it so that there's a safeguard there. The nature of source. There now exists replicable empirical prima facie evidence that confirms some of the essential aspects of what major spiritual and religious traditions have taught about the nature of source or God. This evidence informs us that source, God of the omniverse, consists of the totality of the spiritual dimensions. In other words, God itself, source itself, plus the spiritual beings, plus the intelligent civilization of souls. That totality is God. God has been found to comprise the intelligent civilization of souls, intelligent civilization of spiritual beings, and source itself. And this collective entity of the spiritual beings has empirically been found to be responsible for the ongoing creation of the physical side of the exo-omniverse, known as the exopolitical dimensions. What is the mission of the omniverse? A core mission of the dimensional ecology of the omniverse appears to be the creation and development of souls and spiritual beings in the spiritual dimensions.